Hi, I'm your host, Jason Noble, with 20 minutes of clarity, and my co-host here today is Andy Merchant. Welcome, Andy.
Hey, good seeing you as always. And looking, I think today's conversation is going to be the most fun to date.
I think so as well. And the reason being is, well, we're asking AI some questions around retirement planning and investments. And we have some interesting responses from AI, and then you're going to hear our thoughts as well. So let's have some fun today with this, Andy.
Yeah, it'll be good. I mean, with AI being so much in the news right now, and everybody's trying to figure it out. We all got our ups and downs, and I mean, I'm telling you, I found some benefits for using it in a lot of cases. But the common question is, will it ever replace the human element in everything they do? And I definitely think from here in our standpoint, dedicating our lives and our commitment to helping people make better, more informed decisions, we wanted to see if we could beat the AI bot. And I think that we're still the better solution right now. But for those that are looking for do it yourself, maybe AI can get you in a direction. So let's start with the question.
One of the questions that I think we asked them was like, how much do I need to have before I retire?
Well, yeah. So let's play a little back and forth game. I'll put you on the spot as
Yeah.
we always do, right? So I'm going to ask AI the question, but I'm going to ask you the same question, right? So let's ask it if you're going to tell if a client's going to come to you and say, "Hey, Jason, I need to retire. How much? What are features that you're going to go into determining how much they need to retire? How would you give them, better yet, peace of mind that they're going to be able to achieve their retirement lifestyle?" That's the question.
Well, yeah, when I'm out at a social event and they find out I'm a financial advisor, it's one of the first questions that I get is like, hey, how much do I need to have before I retire? Or what's the hot stock I should purchase right now? It's like these questions. I feel for my clients that are doctors because I know they get the same thing, right, when they're out socially. But the first thing I look at is like, well, what are your income sources that you're going to have throughout retirement? That's the first thing I want to know. What are those income sources? How much are you going to be getting?
Hmm.
And then it would be, okay, is there well, like, what are your expenses going to be? Do you have any expenses falling off the analysis that I should be aware of, right? And then I just use a basic rule of thumb, being the 4% rule, to determine the rest for the withdrawal approach. But when we get into the office and I do a more sophisticated, complete analysis, that's where I could actually give them the actual like numbers of what they would have to be doing based off of their own personal unique circumstances and financial plan.
Hmm.
That's the interesting thing. I was like, if I meet with five people on a day, every single person is going to have a totally different answer to that question,
Yeah.
and it's because of how unique they are. Andy, what are your thoughts? And I got to hear AIs too. What do they
Yeah,
have to say?
yeah. I'm going to ask for AI what its retirement number, right? And you remember the commercial number of years ago that came out, and everybody's "What's my number?" and everybody kind of walked
Yes.
around with little numbers above their head, and it was always intriguing to me because I'm trying to figure out, okay, how in the world can that number give you confidence, right? To your earlier point, it's like everybody's situation is different because there's so many contributions or contributing factors that go into how we develop a retirement plan. And that's what we do in the clear picture analysis, right? I mean, we
Mhm.
have a much more simplified way of calculating retirement independence. That's the number I'm using. I'm really kind of looking at what your ongoing forecasted income needs are based on inflation, adding in what your forecasted um, uh, expenses or additional expenses beyond living are, and then we just need to back in, can that be achieved through a sustainable withdrawal rate? Which is a lot of, like, you and I get excited as we talk on a regular basis, but what does that mean to a client, right? And so that's the way we approach. I mean, it's very tailored, it's very specific, it's very moving. And I asked AI, AI is kind of saying the same thing. I mean, it's telling us right now, hey, how do I figure out or how do I determine my retirement number? It says there's several factors, such as your lifestyle needs that we just talked about, what your expected expenses, retirement age, life expectancy, right? Inflation, and potential sources of retirement income. Um, Now, this is what's interesting. Well, this is where you and I, this is why I said I think our job's good, right? I think people are going to see us because it says, while AI system, can't provide you with precise retirement number, without detailed information about your individual circumstance. It can only guide you to some steps to help you understand it, right? So at the end, you still have to consult with a financial professional like us, who's trained and has experiences with it. But it's definitely an interesting way to maybe get some mindset right. That's where I see opportunity, and clients answering maybe some of the key questions. So that's what AI says.
I got another question for AI and you and me. Okay, here's another one. What are the tax implications of different retirement income sources and withdrawal strategies? I can't wait to hear what AI has to say about this one. I'll jump in while you type in that question, and I'll give my 2 cents on this and kick it over. Why is it my 2 cents, but it's a penny for your thoughts? Like, who's picking up that extra? It has to be taxes. It has to be Uncle Sam. They always get their hands on any money exchange. Okay, so the question would be, and going back to it, I kind of got derailed there, but what are the tax implications of different retirement income sources and withdrawal strategies? So the income sources will be based off of, well, where you get in the income sources from. So I'll go to the traditional assets like pre-tax 401ks or IRAs. Well, the tax implications is ordinary income that's on there. What about Roth accounts? Well, if you held it for 5 years and you're over the age of 59 and a half, whatever, come later, right? Then you could take the money out of the Roth with no tax implications, which is awesome. Beware of the 5-year aging rule, though. And then what about joint brokerage accounts or trust accounts? Well, that's not going to be based off the withdrawal. It's going to be based off of the holding period of the investments, the underlying investments. And
Mm-hmm.
it could be a capital gains tax that's long term or short term. It could be you could do what's called tax loss harvesting, where you're able to really mitigate or offset the tax liability all the way. It really depends on the situation and the strategy that's being used. But one thing that I would say as far as income approaches would be, a lot of advisors that are out there, I know that they do like a systematic withdrawal where they send the same amount of money out per month and they maybe review it every so often. And I get it. That's an approach to take. But what I don't like is it does offer a lot of flexibility and changes of like circumstances. So another approach that's out there, you could be looking at the flooring approach, flooring, where you have your essential expenses covered by recurring income and your discretionary expenses are being used off the portfolio. It's called flooring. Another income strategy would be a bucketed approach, Andy. A bucket approach is where you have a growth bucket and an income bucket, and you take the money that's in the income buckets and income producing investments that have downside risk potential, like they protect more of the downside, and that money is to be able to fund the retirement. Well, the growth bucket, it moves up and down with volatility of the market. You replenish the income bucket from the growth bucket when the growth bucket is positive and moving in the right direction. So those are the strategies. But one of the approaches I want to be clear on, Andy, is I like to use a blended approach as often as I can, where I'm pulling
Mm-hmm.
some money out of the IRAs, some money out of the Roth, some money out of the taxable account to get the full amount that's needed. And I do that to lower the tax implications that could be if we just pulled all the money out of the 401k. I also do this to offset healthcare costs, especially if they're before Medicare, or I
Mm-hmm.
will even do it for my larger clients to avoid the 2-year look back on Medicare. So I mean, a lot goes into this, but that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
What's your 2 cents,
Well,
Andy? I want to get
hey, and you're
yours.
saying that, yeah. Well, and what you're saying that too is AI, tells us that the largest expense of retirement is going to be healthcare. So I'm glad you brought that point up because, again, it's retirement planning and especially for income planning and retirement is it's so dependent on having a wealth strategy. I think generally that's where I think AI can, in this question has an opportunity to maybe kind of help you with a financial plan, which is forecasts. I think those might be transitioned, but I agree with everything you say. Everything depends on the client scenario and how to manage and effectively drive or lower effective tax rates in retirement, right? Because who wants to say I tell clients all the time, who wants to work so hard, stash as much money as you can away in a 401k. Let's say you amass $1 million account. Well, you don't have $1 million. I tell clients all the time, let's be really real. You don't have $1 million. You have $1 million less taxes. Now, we could take it all out right now and give about 45% of it back, right? And so now you have like,
Mhm.
600 and some. The other option is we could be very strategic in how we withdraw. And then if you combine that with some of the key factors that you mentioned from, hey, I want to retire at 62. Great. Well, you're not really eligible yet for Medicare. So your largest expense is going to be healthcare. And there are some great programs that I know we'll probably have a different podcast to talk about, but they are income dependent, right? So it's about taking your bucketed approach and blending it and then implementing it at a time that is most effective, tax efficient for the client at that given point in time. So, um,
Well, we will talk about this another time, but I do want to share with everyone that's listening, right? Is like I had this couple that I was working with, and they were spending $2,800 a month on the Affordable Care Act. That was their monthly premium that they had to pay. But
mhm,
I know how to do the blended distribution approach. And then the next year they paid $300 a month because of how I was able to offset the premium tax credit based off of their modified adjusted gross income. So what I'm saying to you that are picking up what I'm putting down for the ACA, I know how to manage the MAGI for the PTC, right? Okay, right. And now if you're listening, I don't know what he just talked about. Think about this. That couple saved $2,500 a year because a month, excuse me, because I know how this stuff works because of the responsibility that I have for my clients being a retirement income certified professional. What I was impressed with, Andy, is you and I have this conversation as well with a couple that you work
mhm,
with. So, it's not a secret. It's just
mhm.
knowing how the tax code law works and how these things, all these programs work to start building out a comprehensive approach.
Yep.
I know we only have a little bit more time for AI. What's a good question that you want us to address that's in line with AI?
Man, throwing us on the spot. I just asked it. I just asked it a simple general questions out there. I just say, hey, can AI, can you help me retire? Right? Let's just go as direct as we can. And you know what? AI said, yes, I can. Right?
Oh, right.
It says I can provide valuable assistance in retirement planning and help you make informed decisions. Hey, it sounds kind of familiar with clear picture analysis, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but here's the thing. The question is that you and I, have been in the business for many years. We've seen a ton of different plans, client scenarios that AI will never. I mean, it may get to the point where it can see that and do all that kind of stuff. But yes, can it help you? It sure can. But what AI is doing is it's saying it can provide you with valuable insights and tools. But it's important to remember that retirement planning is a complex process. You've outlined just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to even Affordable Care Act and maybe some supplement medical planning. But AI says it does require human guidance from an advisor or retirement planner who is still essential. I know you spent a ton of time getting your certification in retirement planning we can hit on, but I don't think I think AI is going to be a part of our future. I think we're going to be able to leverage it for maybe some easier ways to explain some concepts to clients that they can engage with. But I don't think they're going to help the next person have confidence or peace of mind every night when it comes to is my plan secure for the next 40 years? So,
I would say one of the most unique things that I've learned over my 20 years of being in the industry is I may come across a question later today, and it's something that I addressed with another couple 7 years ago.
mhm,
And I could go, based off what you're going through, here's what happened with this other couple I worked with. I always change the names to protect the innocent, right? But
mhm,
I share that story, and what I realize is when I'm sharing these stories, I'm connecting it directly back to their financial plan, making it relevant to them specifically. And my clients learn better when I tell these stories, when I tell these anecdotes and these metaphors and these parables, right? I'm sharing these things.
mhm.
Um, but when you ask AI a question, you're gonna get just the facts man, right? You're gonna get the Joe Friday just the facts man. You're gonna get hear what it is.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think you and I do really well in our conversations, I've heard you was we did joint appointments, is we just don't tell what it is, we tell why it is and how it works and how it fits in. And I think that really resonates with a lot of people, not just what it is, but how and why it works. And what does this mean to me specifically? And how is this going to help me? And AI may validate the stuff that you and I talk about, but I'm with you. I don't know if AI is ever going to get to the stories and the relevancies
Right.
of the things that it talks about. We'll see. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before,
Yeah.
right? I've been wrong. I don't know anyone's ever been right all the
Hey,
time other than
you
my
and
wife, right?
yeah, oh yeah, but you and I talk about all the time, continual learning and leveraging the resources that are available. I mean, AI is great, but we have Google. It's just a faster Google, right now. And I'm telling you, I've leveraged it. I think I've told you about it. I mean, it came out early. I got tipped on it, and I just started playing with it.
Yeah.
What's crazy is that I'm trying to stick to that continual learning method. I'm all about teaching people or giving people resources so that they can learn better, whether it's a podcast like what we're doing today, or engaging in your Clear Picture Financial, or taking them to a date night learning event where we can have some fun. I want people to have a better understanding of how their plan works, so that they have more confidence. And I'm in the process now. It's exciting. AI is actually helping me and you. We're waiting on your chapters. Write our ebook on the Clear Picture Wealth program that I'm hoping that many of those listeners want to one day jump in on and engage with. But it's pretty exciting. I think we're about 7 chapters deep on it, and AI has been a large contributing supporter of it.
That's
So
awesome.
there is some benefits to it, but I had to add a lot of human element so that it was accurate. So
I absolutely hear what you're saying. We had this conversation. I'm glad that you brought it to everyone that's listening as well. Well, that was Andy Merchant.
and that's Jason Noble.
Have a great day and thank you for listening. 20 Minutes of Clarity.